Hello everybody, I wanted to I'll make a quick video out of this Facebook post this morning, so I'll share it there on YouTube, and I think you're going to find this interesting. I'm not sure I made a video on this before, and it's going to be short, but basically this is my Facebook post this morning. To install a hidden trapdoor in a slab home, you need to cut the concrete. My realtor's late husband owned a concrete cutting business, okay? And so, you know, that's not saying that my realtor or her husband, you know, were involved in rigging private homes for burglary, theft, and murder, but it's also saying that they're not, you know. But what it is saying is, if you're going to put in a hidden trap door, then you need to cut the concrete, and her late husband owned a concrete cutting business. And so that should be, maybe something law enforcement can look into and ask some questions about, because it's not just my home, it's many other homes that are rigged, and like I said, these are very, very dangerous criminals that that are shooting people by surprise in their own home, using corrupt police to cover up murders, and along with the press. And so here, my first comment is, the evidence is clear that the shot came from under this cabinet in my utility room, so I pulled it out after I returned from the hospital, and I found concrete there. Obviously, it had been poured while I was in the hospital, and I was there for 10 days. And I suspect this was done between January 28, 2012 and February 1st, 2012. That was the two entries. That was the two police entries into my home. On the first one, on the 28th, and then the 29th, the police had disabled some of my security cameras, but failed to successfully disable the one in my bedroom, which caught them planting evidence and staging the crime scene. And if you remember, I've got the log files that shows they tried to reboot the computer that was running the camera, and that's what actually started the camera from working. They didn't know it. Rosa Rodriguez is seen leaned over my nightstand where my stolen cell phone was planted, and so. And then the police report, this is a police report that was illegally withheld for 7 years. And then I didn't get it until 2019. I didn't even know it existed. And it was subpoenaed in 2013. And so that was illegally withheld. That showed me on that police report that 5 police officers, Davis, Dickie, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, were at or in my home when they were not seen arriving on the security camera. This is what that told me they came in from this trap door. And like I said, that security camera out front, my security cameras that seen me crawl out on my hands and knees after I'd been shot with my phone lines cut, and then 19 minutes later it sees Martin County Sheriff Woodward show up, followed by the late Midland Sheriff County Deputy Mike Naylor. Okay, so it's seen that, and then but 3 minutes later we see Lieutenant Dickie's inside my house, per the police report that was withheld for 7 years, and he was never seen arriving, right? And then so that's how I knew they come in from the trap door, from where I had been shot from, where the murder attempt had come from. They're actually, they should be top suspects for the would-be killers, and if that's the case, they should be the top suspects for whoever murdered the guy that lived here before me. Okay. The second entry was when they scheduled the bomb squad. That was in the police entry into my house, pretending it wasn't safe in my home. Oh, we need the bomb squad because Buddy's crazy, and of course that was all made up. They were staging the crime scene. They were covering up a premeditated capital attempted murder, a home invasion murder attempt. That was to defame my character, and done after they had staged the crime scene. Nobody was supposed to know that they'd already been in my home on the 28th and 29th. I believe the reason they waited for 3 days on the second entry was because they were filling up this hole with dirt and pouring concrete. It looks like Sergeant Matt Davis had the keys to my home during this time. And remember, Davis, he's the one that quit the police force, right the same month as the protective order here. And so here's a picture that I was taken when it was the original cabinet from where I shot. Absolute proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. We know that the entrance and exit wounds were 2 inches above ground. That tells us where the gun was. The gun was under that cabinet right there. And so that cabinet, it was never put together right. That kickboard wasn't there on the bottom. The door was missing. The shelves are missing. And it was clearly that was the trap door. I have a movie about that. I'll show you in a minute, but that gives a more detailed explanation. But absolute, we know for sure that's where the shot come from. So that's where the trap door was come from. Okay. where it was. It makes sense that to rig a private home which has a slab concrete foundation with a hidden underground trapdoor, then installers would need to cut the concrete. That just makes sense. And a year and a half after somebody under my home shot me by surprise, Will Pruitt died. Okay, he was the husband of my realtor Janine Pruitt, who had found me this home. Will owned Diamond Tech concrete cutting and core drilling. I wondered if Will had cut the trapdoor entrance in my home or any of the many other homes believed to be rigged with hidden access like mine. If not, maybe another concrete cutter in Midland did. Okay, and so I put the link to the obituary. Here's a picture of him, Will Pruitt, and here we go. James Will Pruitt passed away July 27th, age of 47. He's only 47 years old. Quietly enjoying a cigar on the patio. He was born in Midland in '66, attended Midland High, graduated, etc. At 86, he married Darla Janine Gunner, okay? And that was my realtor, was Janine Pruitt. They were married 28 years. Will owned Diamond Tech concrete cutting and core drilling. And so law enforcement, legitimate law enforcement, the ones that are not covering up murders, you know, might want to get them records and to see which homes that Diamond Tech concrete cutting went in and cut the floor out. You know, I mean, that might be something, you know, might be interesting, you know, for crime investigation for multiple murders. On June 26, 2013, I overheard a call on my police scanner where the homeowner at 4619 Story was reporting somebody in the attic. I later went and visited this man whose name was Harold Klotz. He told me that he owned this home for many years but moved out for a few years while some family members stayed there. He said that after he moved back was when he started hearing people in the attic. So obviously that's when they had rigged that home with hidden underground access, right? Harold told me that the home next door had a lot of 24/7 traffic, and that home was owned by a doctor. He had a security system similar to mine, which I believe was being bypassed just like I felt like mine was. It was clear to me this home was rigged by the same dangerous gang of criminals, right? Ones that shot me by surprise. The Midland Appraisal District website, midcad.org, showed me that this home was sold on July 14, 2014 to David Pine. David Pine owns Pine and Beckett Realty, and then that is who my realtor Janine Pruitt works for. What a coinky dinky. I've now identified many other homeowners in Midland, Odessa, Texas, and other states reporting people in the attic. So this looks like a large criminal enterprise of burglary, theft, and murder using the same MO, the modus operandi. Okay, and so here on the left, this old Facebook post is an email that I sent myself. And so I send myself emails so I can have timestamp documentation. And this one was timestamped on June 27, 2013. And it goes from buddy to buddy. You know, at 5 o'clock yesterday, I heard a call on my scanner from the dispatcher concerning a person in the attic. Okay. And it said it was a possible 1096. Okay. So that's also modus operandi. They automatically label the crime victim as crazy before the police ever get there. The dispatcher, it looks like the dispatcher's doing that. And I've wondered if the dispatcher wasn't involved in this criminal enterprise of rigging these homes with hidden access for burglary, theft, and murder. And maybe law enforcement wants to talk to these dispatchers that have been doing that. So, anyways, that should be a recorded 911 call. You know, I documented. I didn't record it on my phone like I have done many others, but I'm sure records will show that. Interestingly, last year, I sent in a request for the city, request for information to the city of Midland. They said nobody had ever called and reported people in the attic. It's like, that's a lie. That is just a bold-faced lie. I did, I did more than once before I'm ambushed and shot, and then I installed a Vivint alarm system in my attic that dispatches the police to my house, and I've got all these other police scanner calls, other people reporting people in the attic, you know, so... Anyways, I looked up who owned that house at the time. Harold Lloyd Klotz. He was a veteran, older man, retired from the post office or somewhere. And so anyways, here is from the deed history, from the MidCAD, from the appraisal district. And that was the current owner. That was a few years ago. I don't know if he still owns it. But basically, here's Harold Klotz. and it was sold on July 14, 2014, and the buyer was James David Pine, okay, who sold it in 2016. But David Pine, my realtor, works for David Pine, and just seems to be a coinky dinky that home that David Pine buys, this home that I believe is rigged with underground access like mine is, and you know, and so maybe David Pine knows about these rigged for murder homes, and maybe my realtor knows about it, you know. Okay, I recently made a video in the room from where I was ambushed and shot with a more detailed story about the hidden trapdoor entrance, and that's interesting if you hadn't seen trapdoor entrance out there. And you know, and I'm telling the story where I was in there with the ex-wife before, you know, I was ambushed and shot in that little bitty room. She was like, "What's different about this room?" You know, and so I'm going around trying to figure out what's odd about the room, you know, and I guess this and guess that, but you know what the real answer was is that cabinet was rigged with a hidden entrance, and you know, who would have thought that? Nobody would have thought that, you know, and of course I got another lady telling me there's 4 3-bedroom homes 25 foot deep. You know, I mean, that would be, you know, that would just be too, and they cost $1 million a piece, you know. It'd just be way too much to try to dig out, not to mention this gang is using almost a dozen secret police to help them with these murders, you know. That's something that the crime victim can't take on themselves. That's why we must have legitimate law enforcement, okay. Also important to this story is the ex-wife had told me during our 3 months marriage that I was chosen to buy this home here in Midland, which would mean that my realtor had been asked to show me this home, right? Doesn't that make sense, right? And so that means she might know something about that. That also means the crimes against me started before I moved to Midland, and I have a recent video talking about my home in Hobbs, New Mexico, which may provide clues. And I have I have a son with my stepsister, within that video is talking about where my first in-laws built the home that I lived in Hobbs, New Mexico, and they built that home and the home next to it, which they lived into, and so the question's been asked if they installed hidden underground access, and that home in Hobbs that I lived in was rigged. And you know, it's a much longer story about my daughter recognizing, noticing the light was on the attic, etc. And so, anyways, I think, you know, if we're trying to stop these murders of innocent homeowners that are, you know, home minding their own business, right? Then you know, I think good investigation, plus all these other homes that are rigged like mine. I should have put this up there and I didn't, but let me do it real quick. Let's see if I can find this. There we go. Okay, here's the list of reported people in the attic. Most of these I have a police scanner, recorded police scanner call on them. A lot of other ones, somebody sent me an email, and I've had other ones where I'm around town, because literally there's just thousands and thousands of people here in Midland that have heard this story and seen the evidence. You know, the evidence is so much. It's not based on my word or testimony. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not my word against their word. I mean, the facts are the facts, and these are the facts that multiple people in here in Midland and in Odessa have reported people in the attic. Okay, and I believe most of them homes are probably rigged like mine, where they come underneath them and they modified the home while it was empty or whatever, and made a wall where they could climb up in the attic. Of course, they're only in the attic when you're home, because otherwise they have their home. You know, it's like they own the home. It's like free room and board. You know, and I've said that before. It's $2,000 a month, you know, rent, you know, and then you rig 2 homes, that's $20,000 a month. If you're a human trafficker, you know, I mean, that's a, you know, I mean, you're making all kinds of money by rigging these homes, and all you got to do is murder a homeowner here and there, and you know, and I feel sure that they're bribing these police to help them, you know, with these murders here, and so, and there's my YouTube channel there with showing what I want to show. If you go to playlist, okay, and then you go attic investigations, okay, I didn't do an attic investigation for for that home on Story, but I thought about it. But I have for attic investigations 4 separate addresses in Odessa, a home in Carlsbad, a smoker and attic on Hickory Street, and I went inside that home on Providence. Right there's so many. This one on Dartmouth, I talked to the owner of that home, and here's one in Hobbs, New Mexico, in Sunset Circle. Oh, here I did do one on Story, okay, and so that's the video right there. That's the home I was showing you where David Pine, the person that owns Pine and Beckett Realty, who my realtor works for, bought this home right here, and it's not one to come up, but
I think that's significant and important.
But there it is, attic investigation, 4619 Story, and so I thought you'd find that interesting, this buddy.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I first saw that in the 80s, 90s home, 80s home, and went, oh, that's it. So your oven's not over there. That's
do you want the oven? You guys want the oven?
No, we need an oven. We don't need an oven. No, I'm sure someone does.
I'm surprised you want to get someone in.
Oh, Charles can sell it. Okay. Is that where you're putting the new one?
Yeah.
It fits in the same space. And then the fridge is over here. Which fridge? That silver one you got? That's a good one, isn't it? And it's got magnets on it.